Why do Christians not complain agitate against mega churches and their founders living a lavish lifestyle? They do. There are 2 billion Christians in the world. Some of them complain, some don't know about it, some know, but don't see it as a major issue, and some are in support of it. Most mega churches preach prosperity gospel, so they sort of worship that the clergy members are living lavish lifestyles, because that's their own aspiration. They believe praying for wealth and networking with the intention of becoming wealthier is a fine use of Christianity. They are like MLMs in a way, and they've all subscribed to it. They teach against it in church. They don't do so in public. Rather than attack the prosperity charlatans publicly, pastors that teach scripture make sure to educate their congregation on the dangers of these imposters. People who don't usually care about Christian values. Most Christians despise the prosperity gospel. Because there's 100 different types of Christian, do you honestly expect the Roman Catholic person in Italy to have even heard of a megachurch? Christian is really just an umbrella term for 1,000 or so similar, but often very different belief systems. There's particular brands of Christianity that would have more in common with perhaps Islam or Judaism than they would with other Christian sects. Lumping them all in together really doesn't reflect the diversity of beliefs and values. Propaganda. The mega churches have millions in profits that get invested into propaganda. Propaganda that you see. Actual Christians also have millions in donations. But they are spending that money doing God's work of feeding the poor and building community. If you aren't one of the poor getting assistance or part of their community, you don't see that work. These real Christians do complain about the mega churches, but they aren't paying Fox News hundreds of thousands for guest spots to spread propaganda. Because there's not really such a thing as a generalized, unified Christians which Christian belief? Where? What makes you think they aren't complaining about it? Maybe they just don't involve you in that conversation. Many do. I know plenty that do. Most probably do. Am I Catholic? Let God deal with it. In my opinion, rich people feel more comfortable confessing sins to someone with something to lose. A righteous poor priest would dob them in for their path to wealth. Jimmy Carter would, but he probably can't talk anymore. As a Christian, I think most churches I hear of in America are complete and utter morons, and the prosperity churches are even worse. But what can you really do? They'll do it anyway. Most of the sane Christians are the ones that aren't yelling on social media. I know many that do, myself included. When I was in the band, there were many artists' music from those places we would not play. Hillsong, Bethel, etc. The church is dying and it's its own fault, and this is what is doing it. I'm not a Christian fundamentalist anymore, but I like to imagine that if I was, I'd understand what was going on. Like you cannot serve both God and mammon money. The world is full of hypocrites, whitewashed on the outside, filthily corrupt on the inside, and religious hypocrites are the worst. In the last days many will worship the Antichrist. If you turn your face from the poor, you turn your back on God. They chose this and they knew the consequences. You can expect them to be trapped in a tube of demons. Private jets are necessary.